tough several months, but we've all been thinking about you and praying for you. Glad to have you here. Glad to have members of the audience here with us today. If I could, let me have your attention to give you the terms of the way we do the commission. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry and of the Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Approval of today's agenda. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Second. Have a first and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes on meeting of July the 14th, 2014. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion with one correction, please, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And that is accidentally under approval of the minutes of our meeting in June, it said to defer. That's supposed to be that we voted to approve. So with that change, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of July 14th.
Okay, do I have a second?
Sure. Okay.
You have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, rules on the public hearing. Keep comments to 3 minutes or less. Each person presenting will be expected to offer new information that has not been made previously. Once the public hearing has been closed, no additional comments will be heard unless the public is officially reopened. Council Lady Weiner, we appreciate you being here today. On the new business, modify speed limit on Belforest Circle from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. And commissioners, if you remember, this was deferred from last month's meeting, requested by Council Lady Sherry Weiner. Council Lady, would you like to speak?
Hello. Thank you, Commissioners and Chair. I really appreciate the time. Before you have a form plus some email attachments that have been sent to me. I just wanted to share with you a couple that have been not presented to you because I didn't have them in writing, but they were based on conversations I had with the physicians that are in the area. We specifically have a podiatrist, Dr. LeMay, who's exceptionally concerned, having watched his clients who not only have limited mobility and are needing additional time to pull out onto Belforest Circle, and we stood there last week and watched people whip down the hill and watched them almost take out 3 little ladies trying to pull out. And so additionally, when these patients and some of the restaurant patrons are pulling up Belforest on one side or the other, people are going around them if they feel like they're not going fast enough. And so if we don't put some signage out there as phase 1 of what needs to be done to support these 57 businesses that are over there, and I did not have that count last time, but there are 57 businesses along Belforest Circle. At one end of Belforest Circle, you have a retirement community. On the other side of Belforest Circle, within walking distance, you also have several apartment complexes and single-family residences. If we can reduce the speed limit as the first phase of this and put the appropriate signage and get the police out there stopping people and ticketing them for the speeding, that will be a start to what we need to do over there. And so I just wanted to bring to your attention that we do have not only this podiatrist concern, but we also have a veterinarian over there who has substantial concerns about the animals being walked from their cars into the property and the access in terms of safety for them because of the speed of the cars over there. So I appreciate it. This, again, what you have before you not only addresses the speed limit, but it also addresses phase 2. If you'll ignore that, And right now, we just need to focus on phase one, which is the speed issue. And I'm not asking for 25 miles an hour through a residential corridor. This is a business corridor that borders a residential area, just on one side. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Council Lady. Commissioners? Councilman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I notice Council Lady keeps mentioning phase one. Are we familiar with the phase two part of it, or what's that going to entail? And how is this going to connect with the phase one portion?
Well, we're hoping for a phase two, and we're hoping for many phases out there. What we understand is it's just booming beyond what we can keep up with in some cases. And so what the Council Lady, correct me if I'm wrong, what she's wanting to do is approach it in phases, because obviously we're not going to cure it overnight. So she's thinking the speed limit change will be phase one in traffic calming. We're calling it a streetscape/traffic calming project, where people crossing the streets and people trying to find parking and people going to have dinner don't need to be trying to navigate around people speeding and that sort of thing. So phase one would be to lower the speed limit. And then phase two would be to work on the parking conditions out there, whether it be on-street parking, whether there be some crosswalks and some sidewalk modifications, bigger items that we can't tackle here at this commission today or even next week. So she would like to, I don't want to speak for you, but she would like to go into this one bite at a time, lower the speed limit, see if that can kind of hold people off for a while, get these pedestrians across the street a little safer, and as you're hunting for a place to park, maybe it's easier to pull out. So one bite at a time is what she's thinking with this phasing concept.
Well said.
Thank you.
Stephen?
So I've gone out to look at the area that we're speaking of. One of the observations that I did see that I think would be helpful is there's only one speed limit sign that I saw coming onto, Bell Forest off of Harding, I believe. And it's only one that says 30 miles per hour. Aside from that, I didn't see any other speed limit signs. So I think that may also be helpful. I like the idea of the crosswalk stuff. If we have pedestrians that are crossing quite a bit, I think that's a great idea. I think that's something that we should do. But having said that, I'm still trying to, just having driven it myself, I kind of still at a loss to kind of figure out why we should change it from 30 to 25. But if you know better than we do, and you're the council person out there, I will be inclined to lean towards your recommendation. But I just wanted to let you know I did take the time to actually go out there, and I do see the parking definitely needs to be addressed on the street. Right now it's all no parking up and down the street, and we definitely need to get some more signage out there for the speed limit, because there's only one as soon as you turn off of Harding, and if you're turning from Old Hickory, you don't know what the speed limit is on that street. So I think that's something that we need to definitely address.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if no one else has anything to say or any more comments, I'd like to move that we approve of the request.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor of reducing the speed from 30 to 25 miles per hour on Bell Forest Circle, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 100%. Thank you, Council Lady. New business. Regulations for temporary sidewalk encroachments. Mark, do you want to talk a little bit about this first?
I do. Thank you.
All right.
And I'll start off by just saying that what I want to share with you today is just information to sort of set the stage on some possible future actions that this commission may be looking at. And it has to do with signboards in the downtown area, most prevalent along Broad and some of the side street next to Broad. But and one example that I get worried about is one business has 8 signboards all around town in front of other people's businesses, and I think what we've finding out is that the signboards have proliferated and they've sort of stepped out of bounds. And so to some of us were here back when the Reverend Durham was the chairman of the commission. And during that time, Second Avenue was in its heyday that Bras is in today. And so in 1998, this commission enacted regulations about street vendors and signboards. And those regulations, I think we've handed out in a package. We haven't really looked at them too hard. We really haven't enforced them strictly because up until the last year or two, the businesses pretty much were, I guess, reasonably in compliance with the regulations. But in the last few years, it's gotten out of hand. We've gotten a lot of people down on weekends that go to Broadway, and anything that's in the sidewalk that can be a detriment to people who aren't paying attention or might trip on something is becoming a problem. And so what we want to propose, or at least start looking into, is we've talked with Metro Police, we've talked to the downtown district people, we've talked to the Tom Turner and a few other people. And one thing we want to do is to go downtown, talk to the business owners, and encourage them to self-regulate themselves. That's what we want to try to do, is get everybody to understand that this is really in everybody's best interest if we try to say that, you know, a sign is good in front of your business, not in front of somebody else's business, and the number should be limited. The size should be limited. We have a few, what do I want to call them? I don't know what you call them. Got a whiskey barrel down there that's a problem. So we got to think about how we handle some of the unique signs and some of the, there's a few, there's an Elvis or three down there. I forget how many Elvises. There's a guitar down there. And some of the ones that really don't have people's names on them, that are like the guitar, I don't think has anybody's name on it. We're looking at maybe coming to the commission and having maybe an exception for certain things, okay, that aren't promoting a business or something like that. So we're looking at that, and we're also looking at maybe on some of the ones that are bigger than a signboard, maybe we require a special permit out of council to handle those. I don't know. But somehow we got to get our hands around this and try to, I guess, clean them up, make sure that they're safe for people to walk around. And so that's what we plan on doing over the next couple months. If we need to, we would come back here and have a hearing on any proposed changes to the regulations and tell all the people downtown that, you know, there is a meeting coming up. We want you to come speak, and that's sort of our game plan.
Right now, Mark, what is actually the rules and regulations for a sign, and how big are they?
The regulations specify the sign, and I think it's roughly 2 foot by 3 foot or 3 foot by 4 foot.
I think Corey had it on just a minute ago.
And those we're fine with that regulation. I don't think, I've looked through the regulations again, I don't think they're very clear on that a permit should be required for one. So we might suggest in the future that to clarify that you do have to get a permit for these signs, and I think we're reasonable about the cost. I think we treat it like a cafe permit, maybe $100 a year or something like that. But we don't want people having 8 of them. We don't, and we want people to be able to use them, but in the right way. What we got?
Section 6, feet?
4 feet high, 3 feet wide.
Could you regulate it where the sign had to be against the building instead of out in the center of the sidewalk?
We could, however, what we normally try to do is have the sign out near the curb. That's where we have poles and trash cans and things like that. So we're trying to get all the stuff in what we call the furnishing zone, which is between the curb and the first few feet in. And that also, that little area provides a buffer between cars as well. And so it allows car doors to open without interfering with walkers. And so the walkers would be up next to the businesses and the windows and really where they need to be and not in the way of these signs or car doors or things like that.
Okay. Commissioners? Anyone have any questions?
I think the word you were looking for is gimmick.
Is what?
Gimmick.
Gimmick.
Well, some of the sandwich boards, I think, really help promote businesses. I believe it says in here that they're only can be out during the hours of operations and that sort of thing. So really, the only change you're talking about right now is that one area, right? To
Right.
Document.
The Metro Code's very clear that you cannot erect what I call a permanent sign in the right-of-way that's for commercial use. And so these regulations were developed by Reverend Durham to try to promote have businesses promote their stuff downtown and yet regulate it in a way that everybody could use the sidewalks.
Yeah, just striking that balance. Great, thanks.
Nope, no action today. Just wanted to give you a little history and what we're looking at. And we're going to now go downtown and meet with a lot of these businesses and we'll see how they react.
Mark, is the most of this for food or entertainment or what is it?
At the time the regulations were written, it was for street vendors and signboards.
Okay. Commissioners, anyone else need to talk to Mark? Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the items be removed from the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda. Proposal number 2014 M010 AB 001. A request to abandon a portion of Alley 1517, easements and utilities to be abandoned and relocated at the applicant's expense for Stevenson Street westward to its intersection with Alley 1522, requested by Plantation Properties adjacent property owners. Resolution number 0814, authorized traffic signal at White Bridge Road at Brookwood Terrace, authorized stop sign on Mount Hood Drive at Rocky Mountain Parkway, authorize an all-way stop at Holt Hills Road at Cobble Street, modify taxi parking area on the east side of 4th Avenue South from Korean Vets Boulevard to Peabody Street to 75 foot south of Korean Vets Boulevard, to Peabody Street. Implement resident permit parking on the east side of 15th Avenue South, alley 200 feet south of Akron to Soccer Field Drive. Remove no left turn on Delta Avenue at Buchanan. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor say aye. No, we need a hand vote on this.
I have an objection to that.
Okay, what we got, Chairman?
I would like to know why we're going to put a traffic signal at White Bridge Road and Brookmont Terrace. I drove down there today and I counted like 1, 2, 3. And by the time I got to 12, I was from one end of the street to the other. So, I mean,
This is a request from Target. They're doing here's my speech for today. Don't let me speak for you. But they're doing a safety study of all their stores. And they hired a consultant, Chris Rhodes is here representing them, and they came up with I call it a safety study, maybe an access study to improve ingress and egress to all their stores. And they're stopping through Nashville, and it's our turn to review their study. And they are here to answer this question if you'd like them to.
I would.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
My name's Chris Rhodes with Kimley Horn and Associates, business address 201 10th Avenue South. We did a study at this intersection on behalf of Target Corporation. As we mentioned, they've got a nationwide program where they're looking at safety and access at a number of their stores, and this is the site they've looked at here in Nashville. We counted traffic at that intersection with school in session, a total of 12 hours. We looked at 3 different volume warrants. The first warrant looks at 8 hours. All 12 hours met the warrant for that traffic signal warrant. We also have a warrant which looks at 4 hours, and I believe 11 of our hours met the 4-hour warrant. And then finally, there's what we call a peak hour warrant, which is where traffic may be so significant during 1 hour of the day that we warrant a traffic signal. 5 of our 12 hours met that peak hour warrant as well. So it's existing traffic conditions on the corridor that are warranting the traffic signal.
You talk about the traffic on White Bridge Road or Brookmont, or on the small street, side street?
Both, sir. On White Bridge Pike, we're probably certain hours of the day are 300% to 500% of what a warranting volume would need to be to warrant a traffic signal at the location. So we've got sizable traffic out on White Bridge Pike and enough traffic on the side street to warrant the traffic signal.
But not on the side street?
No, both the main street as well as the side street.
Chris, do you have your Brookmont Terrace numbers? Do you have them with you, or do you have?
Absolutely.
And what the threshold you're looking for is?
Yeah, on our side street, it depends upon which hour of the day you're looking at. Our minor street volumes, we meet anywhere from, we're at 150% of the volume to upwards of 160 or 170. So you pick the hour, starting at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we meet one of the side street warranting volumes throughout the day for one of these 3 peak hours.
I mean, I could understand having traffic signals like every 5 feet on White Bridge Road, but for the amount of traffic that comes out of this small street that's probably less than 1/10 of a mile long, I don't, it's just another obstruction for traffic.
I think what
people are on the other side.
Right. I think what makes this location work is typically, like you said, you don't want a traffic signal at every driveway. The spacing between this signal and post and the one I'll call further up north for the school. The spacing works fine. When we timed the signals for Metro maybe 4 or 5 years ago, this was a tough little stretch of the corridor because you had so much traffic trying to get out of post, and then the one up the street as well. The spacing works well in terms of it's not going to hamper traffic flow on the main street because it's a good spacing. I think what works for us here is, yes, you have business traffic on one side. You also have business traffic on the other side, as well as residential traffic. With the signal, when it's installed, Metro will require that we have pedestrian push buttons, crosswalks, and ADA ramps. So this will probably be one of the few locations along this corridor where we can actually cross pedestrians safely.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Chip, who's paying for this traffic light? Is this Target Corporation or is this Metro Nashville?
This would be Target funded, and just for peace of mind, signal timing included.
Excuse me?
Signal timing will be part of the signal study.
Okay, so this is very similar because I know recently we approved a traffic signal that Belmont University paid for at 15th and Wedgewood.
Correct, very similar to that.
Very similar to that.
100% by the corporation.
Okay, all right. I think that's very important to know. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. All items on the consent agenda, all in favor, raise your right hand. 100%. Thank you. No, you did, hey, all right, 2, 4, 5, 7 to 1. In favor.
Do we want to separate out that one item for voting purposes? Because I'm sure you might be okay with some of the other items on consent.
Oh, I'm fine with everything else. I'm just,
A motion could be made to pull it from the consent agenda, and it can be voted on as a separate matter.
And we probably should do that just for,
Since I made a motion for the consent, I'd like to make a motion on the consent agenda that all items except for the traffic light be approved by hand vote.
Okay.
Traffic light be approved on a separate vote. Is that sufficient, council?
Second.
All right, so what we're doing now, we're going to vote on everything except the traffic light, hand vote, everything else on the consent agenda in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. All right, 100%, all right. Separate vote, authorize traffic signal on White Bridge Road at Brookwood Terrace. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 7 to 1 in favor. All right, congratulations, Target. Chip, is anything else? Mark?
all good.
Commissioners? Again, Reverend, we're glad to have you back. Captain?
motion to adjourn?
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. See everyone next month.